Okay, well, it's 11:30, so we will go ahead and get started. Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kelly Murick, Senior Director of Products and Services for the Small Business Association of Michigan. The Secure 2.2 Act was signed into law on December 29th and builds upon the existing Secure Act that was enacted in 2019. The Secure 2.0 Act is a significant piece of retirement legislation impacting retirement savings, and it's intended to make it easier for small businesses like yours to offer retirement plans and for individuals to save for retirement through increased contribution opportunities, changes to rules affecting distributions for retirement accounts, and benefits to establishing a retirement savings. Collectively, these changes may influence how you and your employees save and use your savings over time. So back in the summer of 2021, SBAM teamed up with Transamerica and Greystone Consulting from Farmington Hills, which is a business of Morgan Stanley, to launch our exclusive pooled employer retirement plan for our small business members. With the SBAM pooled employer plan, startup plans may be eligible for up to $5,000 in tax credits to cover the annual administrative fee for 3 years. You could also earn an additional $500 annual credit for 3 years when your business establishes a retirement plan with automatic enrollment, and there are no initial setup fees. Our program is a perfect example of how our influence and strength in numbers brings together a program led by top experts in the industry that most small businesses wouldn't be able to take advantage of on their own. Our program gives you exclusive cost savings and simplifies administration tasks while reducing fiduciary liability. I encourage you to visit our website at sbam.org/retirement to learn more about the program and how it can benefit you and your employees. Joining us today are our representatives from Greystone Consulting and Transamerica. You're currently muted. However, at the end of the presentation, we will open it up for questions. And along the way, please use the chat or Q&A feature if you have any questions. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to John Rogers with Greystone Consulting to get us started.
Thank you, Kelly, and that's a great introduction to this program and some of the benefits to small business owners. I'm John Rogers. I'm an institutional consultant with Greystone Consulting, which is Morgan Stanley's institutional wealth management business, and we have a specialty in working with corporate retirement plans like the SBAM pooled employer plan. So Kelly hit on some of the important points on why SBAM decided to start this program. But today, I'll go through the agenda. I'll offer an overview of how this program came to be and why it is a program that's really continuing to look out for small business owners, even after the companies adopt into it. We'll talk about the SBAM pooled employer plans and pooled employer plans in general, how they compare to a 401k standalone plan, and why this has been such a successful program for SBAM members. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll talk about next steps. I'll tell you there are some rumblings of state mandated retirement plans out there. It's actually happening in other states. So those of you that are on the call learning more about this are wise to do so to get ahead of things like that. We'll talk about if you have a current plan, how it might compare to this one. And then the proposal process. But starting with how this plan came to be, SBAM put together a retirement task force, a task force of small business owners who said, this is something that we want to look at. This Secure Act legislation has made it possible for us to band together and offer a plan that's going to be a benefit to our members. So your colleagues, members of SBAM, due diligence, the service providers, the structure of this plan, and really built this small business, pooled employer plan for small businesses, built by small business owners through an RFP process, so you can feel comfortable with the due diligence that was done. And Kelly mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the Secure Act has made this possible, both 1.0 and then 2.0 passed at the end of last year. So, there's really been never been a better time to sponsor a retirement plan, and the government is offering incentives to do so. So I'll talk about the plan now. We'll dig into some of the details. Just high level. Many employees at small companies don't have access to a retirement plan, and so compare that to a larger company where most businesses offer a retirement plan. Small businesses oftentimes don't, and maybe aren't on even footing when competing with talent. The state of retirement in the U.S. Is not fantastic. Only about half of the adult population participate in a workplace retirement plan. And most of those are, defined contribution 401k style plans, where it's really on the employee to save for their own retirement. And we know that the cost of healthcare, we had kind of record inflation. Think costs are going up. It's getting more expensive to retire, and it's really on the individual to save for themselves. And having an ally like a small business owner who offers a retirement plan is becoming more and more important. Many small business owners who've looked at, offering a 401k plan, this isn't a new concept, probably have kicked the tires on this in the past, but you were met with challenges like fiduciary liabilities, administrative costs, uncertainty with, what you need to do to offer the plan. If you have 100 or more employees, that plan's subject to an audit. There's cost and work associated with that. Confusion with plan design, things like match, vesting schedule, safe harbor, terms that were confusing, tough to navigate. And then, how are you going to manage this on an ongoing basis for your employees and make sure that it's a successful endeavor? And SBAM, kind of heard those challenges from their members, realized that offering a pooled plan would give them an opportunity to assist those members and offer a best-in-class product. So, one of the reasons that they're offering this pooled employer plan structure, which really is a structure that was created by the Secure Act, is because it simplifies the duties that a small business owner has when they offer a plan. So, when you offer your own standalone 401k plan, you're really responsible for all of the things on the left-hand side. And busy small business owners who may not have like a dedicated HR department found it challenging to do these types of things, like filing the Form 5500, monitoring contributions and updates to deferral elections. When an employee changes the percentage that they're putting into the plan, loan processing and just approvals, distribution of government required notices. All of these tasks add up. And get to something where the employer is like, well, this is going to be hard. I also have like a fiduciary duty to monitor all of this once I get it up and running. Maybe it's not worth doing. So these pooled employer plans and the SBAM pooled employer plan in general cut out a lot of that work, a lot of the administrative duties that those are outsourced to a third party, and the fiduciary duties, where you have partners like my team and Transamerica Tag to help you and who are fiduciarily responsible for doing those tasks. So in the SBAM pooled employer plan, you're really responsible for three things. Number one, you need to monitor the service providers, and the SBAM's helping you do that too. You need to submit payroll data in some way. So those of you who work with payroll companies will talk about how that actually can be integrated, and we can remove that step and that duty. And then at the end of the year, there will be some data collection, really to verify the payroll information. And then if you have some more advanced plan design type of things, a couple questions to make sure that those tasks are completed appropriately. But really, that's it. So you're able to offer this plan to your employees without having to have kind of like a full-time person managing it. So, I mentioned this simplified administration. I'll highlight the reduced fiduciary liability. So in a standalone 401k plan, oftentimes as a small business owner, because you're responsible for monitoring the investments on the plan. You might have an advisor who acts as a consultant, and I do that with other plans. But at the end of the day, it's your fiduciary liability to make sure that the investments on the plan menu are appropriate for the employees at your company. The way that the pooled employer plans work, you're able to offload the duty to my team and our whole firm really standing behind this plan at Morgan Stanley Greystone, where we have the discretionary responsibility to monitor and change when appropriate fund investments. Just because this is a pooled plan doesn't mean that you don't have flexibility with respect to plan design. So you can completely tailor your plan to your individual needs. You can offer a match. You don't have to. It could be a safe harbor plan. You can have what's called a profit sharing plan. All of these types of kind of advanced features are totally available within the pooled structure. And we have, in our onboarding process, experts that can help you to tailor the plan to your needs, to something that works for your company. And then Kelly mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, one of the benefits of the pool plan, obviously is we're pooling together, we're banding together the SBAM members. So you're not just, just a small business owner starting up a retirement plan. You get to come in with the strength of the SBAM membership, really the assets in the plan, to help lower some of the costs in this plan. That's a really important thing. For those of you who have never offered a retirement plan before, the Secure Act also has tax credits available. So, Kelly mentioned, no startup costs, can get tax credits for the plan. The number one question that we get asked is like, what's this going to cost the business? A lot of times we can make it cost, nothing to the business, and the cost will be passed on to participant accounts. But this isn't a cost to the business. One thing, if you're doing kind of back of the napkin math, you might want to think about is if you're going to offer a match, kind of look at that and the percentage that would make sense. But other than that, you're able to offer this benefit in an extremely cost-effective way now, where you might not have been able to in the past. And then lastly, for companies that are subject to a plan audit, typically a little bit larger companies, not only do you not have the cost associated with dealing with the audit, but those of you on this call who have ever been through a 401k plan audit know that it's the work associated, the time that it takes from your day where you have to deal with this audit, that goes away. So the plan's audited at the plan level, not a responsibility of the individual adopter to go through that task. So all in all, these pool plans, really compelling benefits. I mentioned rigorous investment outsourcing. So fiduciary outsourcing of the investment decisions for the plan. My team at Greystone Consulting leverages, our affiliation with Morgan Stanley to provide best-in-class fund due diligence. We have really rigorous standards for managers that are on this plan. And they're not going to be Morgan Stanley investments. It's completely open architecture. There's no proprietary funds. We're able to truly be independent with our decision making. And the costs for these funds are institutional share classes. So you're not, a lot of times when you look at the true costs of a small business plan, it can be hard. A lot of the fees get buried. You're paying costs for investments that you may not realize. With this plan, everything is completely transparent. That sometimes means we have to walk through the costs a little bit more detailed, but you're going to know what you're paying for investments, and they're going to be free from conflict of interest. A lot of people ask about Vanguard. passive indexes, those are available on this plan. You also have actively managed options to complement those passive investments. And then a really important thing for retirement plans specifically are target retirement date funds. So those help a participant put together an allocation that makes sense for them based off their target retirement date. So the date in the future when they'll retire. The American funds manage the target dates on this plan and have really been a best-in-class target date sponsor for a long time. So all in all, this is a compelling opportunity. It's one that we're really able to make an institutional quality plan, like a big company benefit, work for small businesses who are members of the Small Business Association. So I'll pass it over to Chelsea. Chelsea works at Transamerica, and she has been, on the ground helping to create this plan with SBAM since we started. We did a lot of work to due diligence, different record keepers and companies, and we landed on Transamerica because they're able to provide expertise in this pooled plan space and a really good user experience for your participants. So Chelsea, take it away.
Thank you, John, and thanks everybody for joining today. As John mentioned, I work with Transamerica. Transamerica is the record keeper for the SBAM pooled employer plan. So what I want to do is give you a high-level overview of the parties that are involved that are supporting you in this arrangement so that you don't feel like you're doing it all by yourself. So we define, business owners who adopt into this pooled plan arrangement, adopting members. So as a record keeper at Transamerica, we're going to hold the retirement plan assets. We provide those investments that Greystone Consulting, John and his team pre-select to make available to you. We provide the website and the fully transactional app available for the employees to view their 401k account, make deferral allocation changes. We provide a call center for your employees to call if they want help trying to do any type of transactions with respect to their retirement plan. And then we also, one of the reasons that Transamerica was selected was that we can have flexibility with the financial advisor. So what's nice is that if you currently have a 401k plan and you're working with a financial advisor, you're going to be able to maintain that relationship. If you are currently in a simple retirement plan or a SEP and you have a financial advisor attached, we can look at converting that into a 401k and maintain the relationship with your current financial advisor. So we're not trying in any way to upset the apple cart or the relationship that you already have. We want it as much as we can maintain that relationship for you. John alluded to payroll integration earlier in the presentation. There's very few things that are going to be left for you as an adopting member in this pool to plan arrangement to do, but one of those is to upload the payroll into the Transamerica website. However, if you're working with a payroll company, know that we have integration with over 100 different payroll companies. So we'll get into that a little bit in the next slide and what that means, but we can certainly try and take that off your plate and we build that relationship into this pooled arrangement. We also then have the investment manager. John kind of reviewed what his team does for you, but at the end of the day, right now, choosing a fund menu is a responsibility of a adopting member, and you are a fiduciary of the plan and responsible for choosing suitable investments. In this arrangement, in a pooled employer plan, that liability is being taken off of your plate because John and his team are stepping forward to choose the suitability of the investments that are being utilized. And then we also are working with an auditor. So this arrangement is really nice because we are filing one tax filing, 15500 for all of the adopting members in this pooled arrangement. And we're filing one audit too. So if you're a company that might be in audit territory, 100 participants or employees or more, and might have to file an outside audit, it could run anywhere between $8,000 to $12,000. We're going to be significantly reducing that fee in this type of arrangement. All qualified plans have to have a fidelity bond as well. And that's one thing that can be a red flag sometimes on a 5500. It needs to be at least 10% of the assets in the current 401k plan in case there's any type of misappropriation of assets. So just know that that's something that we're going to be monitoring in the PEP and making sure that we update on an annual basis once your assets continue to grow. And one of the most important parties, I think, is the PPP, the pooled plan provider, the 316 that's providing all of the offloading of the day-to-day administration of the retirement plan. So If you currently have a retirement plan now, a 401k, you know that annual required notices have to go out. If somebody requests a loan or a distribution, it's your responsibility to sign off, approve that loan or distribution. All of those day-to-day responsibilities are now being offloaded to the 316. So you're going to start seeing the time invested into the retirement plan go down significantly. And here's a good overview just of the 360 integration. There is a company endorsed by the SBAM Association, AHOLA, and we have full 360 with them, meaning if you're utilizing their payroll software, you do not have to upload the payroll contributions into the Transamerica system. We will automatically get a feed from AHOLA, and then we will automatically push a file feed back to AHOLA if anybody makes a deferral change on our end. Say they go from 3 to 5. Usually a plan sponsor gets that notification and they have to notify the payroll company. We're going to be feeding information directly back and forth with AHOLA. And again, AHOLA is one of 100 different payroll companies that we have integration with. So if you're interested in finding out if we have integration with a company you're working with today, we can provide that answer. If not, it's something that we can look at building a feed for you. And then we want to make sure that the participants are taken care of too, right? So a lot of what we just went through was how does it make your life easier as a business owner or plan sponsor sponsoring a retirement plan? What about the employees? So we talked about a website, right? We have a very user-friendly website. Websites are very important, but to be honest, 72% of Americans want to access their 401k plan on an app on the phone. So we have that as well. You can see a quick visual of what that experience looks like. We're using cloud simulation to communicate if somebody is on track to retire, replace 85% of their income at age 65. Maybe a 25-year-old invest in just cash, or maybe a very conservative option, and they're only putting in 3% of their paycheck today. They might log in and see that it's a rainy outlook. We're going to do everything that we can to communicate maybe a little bit more of a moderate investment approach, or maybe trying to increase the deferral on the amount that they put in for retirement so that we can make sure they have a sunny outlook as they approach retirement. I promise that your employees are not going to have any lack of tools and resources available to them to let them know exactly what they need to do to get on track to retire. And just know that it's not just the 401k that we're looking at. We can build in any accounts that they have from outside providers. If there's a financial institution with the username and password where they have an account balance, they can link that directly to the 401k account to give them a full financial picture instead of just looking at the 401k. So your employees will have as much communication as possible and be directed as easy as possible. So with that, John, I'll pass it back to you to take on next steps.
Thank you, Chelsea. So yeah, we'll talk about next steps. I do want to touch real quickly. There are state mandates for retirement plans in other states right now. And I know SBAM, one of their key roles is to be your advocate with the state. And I know that mandates are not something that they would respond kindly to. However, because of these rumblings in other states, I think that's one of the reasons why the task force at SBAM wanted to have something on the table, kind of a private options for businesses. Be aware of this. You may hear more about it as it connects to Michigan, but I don't want to beat this to death too much. But definitely know that the government's focused on retirement right now, and looking at these types of plans. We'd encourage you to really kick the tires on this. We wanted to keep today high level. We wanted to keep it to a half hour. We know you're busy people. Didn't want to take up too much of your day, but I'd encourage you to look at this, see if it makes sense for your business, whether you currently have a plan now or you've never offered a retirement plan. So if you have a plan now, one of your fiduciary duties is to evaluate the investment costs. Let us do that for you. We can do a side-by-side comparison of this plan to your current plan, and you can use it as a health check and a due diligence exercise. And so we have on the screen, ways to do that. 408B2 disclosure has all the fees in a plan. You can request that from your service provider. SBAM, we know this is a competitive program because before we even launched it, we benchmark the fees against industry averages for small businesses. And when you include tax credits, this is a really compelling opportunity. So, we did that work. We know it's competitive, and we know that cost-wise, we're delivering on those promises. If you'd like to get a proposal, Kelly's information's on the screen. She also mentioned the website sbam.org/retirement. You can request a proposal through the site there as well. Things we ask for: number of employees, and then if you want to work with an investment advisor who you already have a relationship with, kind of who that person is. And then we also want to know if you have a retirement plan right now, like a SEP or simple, like Chelsea mentioned. So I think Kelly's letting everybody in the room here. We definitely want to take questions.
Yeah, we do have a couple questions that came through the Q&A.
Okay.
The first one is from Pam. She's wondering what fees are passed on to the employer.
What fees are passed on to the employer? So there is an administrative fee that is kind of dependent on how you structure your plan, whether or not it's safe harbor or not. Typically, that's paid for by the employer. And then if you choose to match into the plan, I mentioned that earlier, where you're going to match employee contributions into the program. That's flexible. There are different formulas you can choose to do that. But that would also typically be a cost that is incurred by the sponsoring employer, where they'll match into the plan. But Chelsea, am I missing anything? I think that's about it.
Right, yeah, and things depend too, if you currently have a retirement plan in place, kind of the asset level of what that annual administrative charge would be. So we're more than happy to build a proposal so you can see that. Just know that those tax credits are going to really help offset anything that you are being billed. So for example, the annual administration might be waived if you have at least 4 people that are eligible to participate in the plan. So that keeps going up. You get $250 per eligible employee, up to $5,000 a year for the first 3 years. So almost all, or any, of your annual administration could be waived.
Yep. Great point.
She's also wondering what are the benefits of a pooled 401k versus a simple IRA plan. And I know we have some information on our website about this, but do you want to address that question as well?
Sure. I mean, the big one's contribution limits. You can save more for retirement in a 401k plan. That's just kind of the bottom line biggest benefit. You also have a lot more flexibility with how you structure a 401k plan. And so, you can do different things, matches, profit sharing, that you can't do in a simple plan. And then I've heard Brian say this, from Brian Calley from SBAM. He thinks it just makes you look more legitimate. It puts you kind of on an even playing field with a bigger business when you say you offer 401k, when you're kind of marketing job opportunities, things like that. It's just a name people recognize and makes you seem a little bit more institutional.
Yeah, definitely adds to that overall benefit package to attract talent. The next question is, are the tax savings set up to save income taxes or payroll taxes?
So they're tax credits to the business. So I guess I'll take this. The tax credits that we're talking about from the Secure Act are business tax credits. So they're going to help you save with the, administration costs to run the plan, but there are tax benefits to a 401k plan for the participants that participate in the plan. So flexibility, again, you can have Roth or pre-tax options, where deferrals go in, from your paycheck. This is a payroll deduction plan, so it's easy savings for an employee, because it's automated and it's something that they don't necessarily have to think about. So there are kind of 2 tax benefits, one at the participant level and then one at the company level.
Okay. Well, there are no more questions in the Q&A or chat feature, but if anyone online has anything that you want to discuss or ask, just unmute yourself and speak freely. Okay.
If
Oh.
you're a nonprofit, do
Mm.
the corporate benefits benefit you? Or are they merely corporate tax deductions that would only benefit a for-profit?
The tax credits do not benefit you right now. There is talk of another, I call it Secure Act 2.1 or 3.0 or whatever it is, that would offer more benefits to a nonprofit. I'm not, that stuff, things will come out, I think, either this year or early next, possibly for nonprofit benefits. There are definitely going to be updates to the Secure Act to clarify some things. But those tax credits that we're talking about are for-profit companies. Doesn't mean that there isn't benefits to offering a 401k as a nonprofit, particularly if you're going to do a safe harbor plan. So be happy to take this offline and look at your individual situation.
Mhm. Yeah, if you want to email me, I can forward your question on to John.
But we have nonprofit members of SBAM in this plan already.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. This is being recorded and we'll send you the recording through a link later and also available on our website. So thank you, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks,
Thank
Kelly. Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.